Just thinking about it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another fun-filled edition of the Hard Cam. I am Jason Paul. How you doing, man? How you doing tonight? It's been a minute.
I'm tired. I had to get up early to talk to an Australian bloke this morning, and that I don't know. I don't recommend it.
Go ahead and plug this. You got a brand new edition of Road Trip Wrestling that is up now. Looking at AEW with a guest star on there. How'd that go?
A lot of fun. The observation that was made is, hey, when you start chatting about matches that you enjoy and that you know history of, they get long. Okay.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't. It's been a minute since we did it, but we've said it a couple of times and said, yeah, we're going to go an hour and look up. 2 hours later, and we're like, what the hell? How did that just happen?
Hey,
it does. I mean,
fun.
Yeah, man. So like, subscribe, share, follow us everywhere at Ringside Syndicate. You can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and most importantly, YouTube. That's where all the shows air. And we are also on all your major podcast streaming forums. Yep.
LimeWire, Kazaa.
Oh, LimeWire. Oh, yeah. Let's listen to everybody's computer. But Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Podcast. We are everywhere, man. So just make sure you catch us. And we'll just get right into it, man. I'm going to start with some small, I don't know how small it is, but, tonight's headlines, we got the Vince McMahon lawsuit. It was canceled. WWE reportedly cooling on LA Knight, Jey Uso's backlash, Jacob Fatu's growing bloodline role. Forbidden Door is shaping up. The Death Riders continue to dominate headlines with Will Ospreay and the TNA creative shakeup and departures. So, what's the biggest story in wrestling right now? We don't know, but we'll go into Vince real quick. Because he is not worthy of being the closer on my show. So, did you hear about that? How the lawsuit it was canceled days before it was supposed to start?
I definitely heard it because it was on the radar, but I never really got into the nitty gritty. I'm not good with legalese or any of that stuff. I don't understand lawsuits. I understand lawsuits, but I don't. You open the folder and you go, okay, you've lost me. So as much as I know what's going on, the other part of me is I don't know what's going on.
Well, yeah, see, I'm kind of the same way because I just don't care that much. And it's not that to downplay anything that poor lady went through. But he's gone. And, I know it's Vince McMahon. It's going to catch headlines, but one of the funny things I heard, and it's kind of comical to me, the way the whole thing got started, when this got brought up was the emails that got sent to the board. And, apparently it's coming back that a lot of people believe it was Nick Khan that actually sent those emails to the board. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I guess that was his way of, if he did, of really trying to get Vince out the door. But, Nick Khan was mentioned, Triple H was mentioned. There's allegations of destroyed evidence. But she settled out of court. I mean, so she got some money out of it. It's undisclosed as far as I know. I don't know what if it has a true meaning to it. What do you think?
I won't look when it comes to people that have that level of money. I never know what to think. You know what I mean? When it comes to lawsuits, if it was, like we were talking about MLW not too long ago, their lawsuit with WWE, they said, oh, they closed and it didn't, it didn't end in anything. And then we find out 6 months later that they had to pay out $20 million to so.
I loved hearing Cornette talk about that. He was talking about with, if he had $20 million that he would still be running Smoky Mountain Wrestling with, letting the audience do free tickets. And, he was saying what Heyman could have done with $20 million in ECW. And, so a couple of different promotions he was talking about. But, a lot of people want to say this does or does not hurt the WWE. In my opinion, it does not. How about you? What say you?
I hate this expression, but I think I'm dating myself as I say this. It's too big to fail, especially now with this Netflix deal. Look, Miramax is still around. If Harvey Weinstein didn't kill Miramax, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I do.
I think right now the WWE is too big to fail. There's too many people that, the WWE is pro wrestling in about 80% of most people's eyes. You know what I mean? So I don't think they will ever shake that loyalty. I don't think they'll ever shake that mentality enough to worry. I hear right now they're worried about money, but I also hear that they're making money hand over fist. So it's hard to judge. It's hard to kind of know what's going on.
Well, I mean, between the three companies that are under the TKO umbrella are WWE, UFC, and that bull riding thing they picked up. So, I mean, hell, I don't know.
I part of me was like, I'm gonna hate whatever the third thing you just said. And when you said bull riding, I'm like, I'm gonna say that's a hard to hate sport. Okay, that's because they're not hurting the bull, right? They just ride it because it's pissed off. And okay,
they're riding him, and he's trying to kick them off. So, I mean, down. So if they're losing money, I'm inclined to be where you are. It's not on WWE. It's kind of like the old WCW stuff where they said WCW was losing money, but where it had lost money for so long that different parts of Turner were taking their losses and putting them on top of WCW on their books because nobody blinked an eye about that because they had lost money for so long. And I agree with you. I don't think it hurts them, but I told you before we talked about this past few weeks, and I'm not going to go too much about it, but I think AEW is in a prime position to really be competition for, instead of an alternative, be in competition. Even though whatever's going on with their TV deal, they're going to land somewhere. I mean, whether they stay where they're at or, with the whole Paramount deal getting signed and Paramount having UFC, blah, 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 they'll end up somewhere. They got enough people that have watched the program that, I'm not concerned about it. And
well, we even have to take in consideration the whole myaew.com that started up, because depending on what that is and what that could potentially be, if that becomes their own network, does their TV deal mean as much if they have this pillow on the side? You know what I mean? Like, things could be changing. We don't know. We have to kind of see what the future gives us.
Well, the only thing I'll say about the TV deal is the money it brings in. The contracts they signed to allow their programming to be aired on TBS, TNT, whatever. I think that's where the big major issue would be. To keep them afloat, without having to dip into Shad Khan's pocketbook. I mean, not that it's not deep enough to keep them going, but that makes no matter how much he's paying whoever, it makes the company profitable with the TV deal. So, but again, I don't, if they wind up going anywhere or whatever comes out of all this crap, I just, I think they'll be fine. Do you think Vince is truly gone from wrestling?
Oh, that's I'll say no, because I remember them saying that about Antonio Inoki for years, and he still pops up every so often. He still does interviews. He still does, well, okay, he's dead, but he wrestled in like the 70s, 80s. He wrestled Hogan. So for decades, he would just show up, get in the ring, slap a bunch of people and leave. Like, he was always sort of there, standing on the mountain. So I think Vince is a bit like Inoki in a way where it's like, no, you'll never get rid of him. Like, he's too big to fail. You know what I mean? He can come back at any time.
let me rephrase that. No, anytime that any discussion is had about the history of pro wrestling, if you're gonna really discuss history, you can't leave out the name Vince McMahon, senior or junior.
Mm-hmm.
But he's 80, 81, something like that. I don't know exactly how old he is. I know he's, he's old enough, and I'm not wishing harm to anybody, but he's old enough that if the press tomorrow said, Vince McMahon passed away, former owner of WWE, nobody be shocked. He's, between the lifestyle he's led and.
Yeah, he's a big muscular boy, but also at the same time, if he passed away tomorrow, you would say, "Oh, that's not a wrestler's death." No, like he's had a fairly good go. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, he's dying.
I guess the main reason I ask is you hear all these rumors about Saudi Arabia possibly trying to go in with him as partners and repurchase the WWE and take it from a publicly owned company back to a privately owned company. And it's one of those things to where, no, I don't think it would happen. But if it did, would I be shocked? No, I'd just be like, okay. So
it's a wild world we live in nowadays. I think it's more than potentially possible for that to happen coming up, considering the relationship. I'd like not to go into any I'm just going to stick to the relationship that WWE has had with the country so far. And you could see that it's growing. They've done more events. They're more sociable with that country. So it's like, okay, I could potentially see that. It's I'll say there's some very rich people over there. So I could definitely see them purchasing a company like WWE.
Well, they were part of the group, part of the bidders, I think, back when WWE was sold. And I think I told you a few weeks back, it might've been longer than that, but I did not realize the Khans had threw in a bid to purchase WWE when it was up for sale. But, like I said, do I think it would happen? No. If it did, would I be surprised? Absolutely not. And, I go back to, no, he's not a great human being. I mean, that's not up for debate, I don't think, from anybody. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side of it is where I continue to defend Triple H. It's like all this good stuff he did. And it's like the man did not forget how to book wrestling. He's now got these people kind of like Bischoff did over his head that don't know shit about wrestling, trying to tell him what to do or telling him what to do. And, so I think the product, in my opinion, if they can't continue, whether, everybody says, oh, Triple H is on his way out. Well, I mean, he very well could be. We don't know what's happening. I mean, or everything could be hunky dory. We don't know that either. But, as long as people like Nick Khan's a great businessman, but does he know the wrestling business inside the square circle? What puts butts in seats and viewers on the TV? No, he doesn't. He knows how to get advertising. He knows how to make deals and stick to that, because let the kind of like Dusty used to say, let the wrestlers do the wrestling. And so I don't know, I guess we'll see we'll see where it goes. But as far as Vince back in or not out, who knows? But I don't think even if he came back, I don't think he would ever have a meaningful involvement in wrestling again. However, the wrestling fans, I know AEW, Tony calls his fans like, we do this for the sickos. I don't know. I forgot what show it was, but the crowd actually started chanting, we want Vince. And it's been within the past two months because of how bad things have gotten. So, AEW is not the only one with sicko fans.
Well, I get people thinking that Vince's booking is good booking because he's gone and now, but there's a part of me that's like, guys, like, take a step back. Like, there's a lot of people that think Vince. How about this? A lot of people compare Vince to George Lucas. It's like, yes, you were a part of something that we loved, but you also sort of took it in a weird way that we don't appreciate anymore. Like,
he bastardized it.
Yeah, and there's a part of pro wrestling fans that don't like sports entertainment. I don't like entrances. I don't like in-ring talking segments. I don't care. I want sports. You know what I mean? So as much as it's like, oh yeah, Vince changed the game, there's a lot of people that go, yeah, and we're not going to get rid of this infection for years and years.
Now don't get me wrong. We never had, the 20-minute talking segments on back in the day, but we've talked about this, like the Saturday night show, this, that, and the other. They were nothing more than a 90-minute to 2-hour infomercial to try to get people into the building. You would see, a mid-card talent for a main event, and it would be a lot of squash matches for, the Road Warriors, the Horsemen, Dusty, whoever to come over to the podium and talk to Gordon Soley, Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, blah, 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 blah. And so I don't mind the talking segments, but when they get to the 15 to 20 minute mark, we're all just going, and of course the entrances. But I've told you before, the one thing that drives me flipping crazy is when they do the run in for the save and they hit the people's music while they're running in. Before they run out, they hit the music and then they run out through the curtain. Drives me batshit crazy. It's like, we know it's fake. We know it's scripted, but can we pretend just for a little bit? We don't need entrance music for a run in my opinion.
See, now I agree with you, but if you hit the music and the person goes, "Oh, music, I'm going to fight the person," and you hit them from the back, 100% acceptable. I'll because that's you going, "I'll give you $100 to play my music when I tell you to." That makes sense to me.
Something like that. I wouldn't have an issue with.
That's a bit cheeky and planned out, but I know what you mean, where it's like glass shatter, Stone Cold comes out, Rock comes out. Like, is the sound guy just going, oh crap, it's Crash Holly, go, okay, fucking Rock, go. Like, no, this is all worked out. Like, just run out. Who cares?
And if you go back when wrestling was at its peak, they didn't do that. They didn't even do that shit in the Attitude Era. But
5 years ago.
I'm going back to when it was just booming in the 80s. Even the WWF, when they were taking their ascend to the top, and buying up everybody's territory, even then they weren't doing, music for run-ins. And it's like, but anyway, let's see. It seems like they have, it seemed like this for a while, but what do you think about LA Knight?
He's on a show I don't watch, so unfortunately I don't have a lot of, I don't know. From what I hear, he's a nice guy. That's all. Like,
well, my first experience with LA Knight was TNA when he was Eli Drake.
That's the name I remember. Yeah.
And he was doing. I mean, really, it was the same character. I mean, let's not play any. Whatever. It was the same exact what you see today as LA Knight. It was the same guy.
And he got criticism back then for having promos that have the same cadence as The Rock. He would, that vocal, that like if you go back and put them side by side, they have the same presence. So to say like he hasn't evolved is like, you're a parody, not a parody, but you're an echo of someone else and you still haven't evolved. Like,
well, I don't remember hearing that back in the day. I mean, it very well could have been said. I don't know, but like I said, as far as the character, and I said back then, I'm like, damn, I can't believe, because WWF has always been for the talk, the entertainer. And, he was very, very well versed on the microphone. I mean, he still is. But, they called him up. Good for him when they called him up and tried to do the whole Max Dupree gimmick. And, he went to Triple H and was like, look, man, either let me be myself or go ahead and release me. He goes, you'll know within 3 months whether I'm worth keeping. And, and he's had some good moments, but I personally, I think his time has passed. I think they missed the boat with him, and either let him go or just stop. They do a lot of stop and start with him, and that's one thing booking wise that I cannot stand. If you're going to book somebody and see what they got as far as the crowd and everything of that nature, then follow through with it. Okay, don't start and stop.
Here's going to be an odd question because I look at it from the other side of kind of the coin. How can you have someone on TV at that level of the card, like your higher upper card, like he's sort of a Dolph Ziggler, like he's upper card, but he's not champion, right? Like he's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
How could he be there for so long and only now you're going, I don't think he's kind of good.
No, I'm not saying I don't think he's not kind of good.
I'm not saying you're. I'm not saying
you're talking about the company. I got you.
Yeah. Okay. So if Triple H is only now saying, I don't think he's that good. I don't think we can do this with him. I feel like, isn't his years too late to have formed that opinion? Shouldn't you have formed that opinion before he was bloody hired?
Well, I go back to the segment, the previous segment. Is it Triple H or is it somebody else. They just don't like him because we heard with a lot of those releases that we talked about, the Aleister Black, the Wyatt Six, that there was somebody in TKO in their management that just didn't like the scary, spooky, supernatural type gimmicks. So is it Triple H or is it somebody over him going, yeah, we just don't see it in this guy?
I just don't understand why it would be like, well, I guess it's like, well, new management is stepping in now and making these decisions. If that's the case, I understand that. But if it's like Triple H and WWE saying that, I'm baffled that you would let them get that far without having that opinion. Like, I'm just so used to a system that makes you wrestle for so many years before you even get a gimmick. You have to learn how to work. So part of me is like, you're telling me this guy can't work and he's part of your main event? Like, what?
Well, again, what? It goes back to what I was saying earlier. They've started and stopped with him so many times. Now I think I think he would be a very formidable U.S. or Intercontinental champion. I just, I don't, with the main event talent that they have, and what they're bringing up, he's not Seth Rollins, he's not Punk, he's not Roman, he's not Cody. I mean, he's not even Braun Breaker. And, yes, the crowd will sing along with his cadence, but, and then now we've got him involved again with Jey Uso after they were tag team partners at WrestleMania. And it's like a start and stop. It's the best way I know how to describe it.
Yeah, no, I just don't like. Is it a case of like he's just doing what he's told and being blamed for doing what he's told? Is it? I know he's been I have seen a lot of clips of him like slipping and stuff. So are they being hypocritical of him slipping? Is he doing work that he shouldn't be doing? Like, there could be a lot of answers. Like, is someone, remember the old, when Psycho Sid broke his leg from jumping off the rope?
Yeah, I was watching that show.
Someone was in his ear to say, hey, there's a lot of people jumping off the top rope. Maybe you should do a top rope move. And he went, I don't know. And they said, well, someone was in his ear saying this and he did it. And so is someone in someone in LA Knight's ear saying, hey, do these spots, causing him to mess up? Like,
now the couple of spots he's missed, the couple of spots he's missed, like his moves. I mean, he was doing those back in TNA, so those are his spots, his signature, whatever move you want to call them. The one thing I know that they really got pissed off about was the Money in the Bank match, and it was supposed to have the drama of him and Seth climbing up at the same time, and he never made it back into the ring to do that. And they were just, they showed the behind the scenes of him getting his ass chewed. Now, whether that was for the camera or it was real, who knows? But that's the one thing I know that I saw that they were pissed off about. But, and with him now they're, are they pushing him? Or are they pushing Jey Uso? What are we doing? Jey Uso won the King in the Ring qualifying match to move on. And I'm not sure if he's facing Obafemi or somebody else is, but Roman's like, I got this one, go win King of the Ring and take the one from Cody and blah, 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 blah. But I'm not really sure Jey Uso's getting a push. I think this whole bloodline thing is going to wind up turning around because, Jacob's like, constantly, I acknowledge Roman. I don't have to acknowledge your punk ass. You didn't beat me. And, he sent Jacob down to, kind of save the Usos a couple of times. And, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know where it's going. Well, what do you think?
I'm just surprised that they're trying to tell a story with this faction with how long it's been going on. Like, if you want to keep the bloodline as just like a generalized faction, so we have some ins and outs with stories, fine. Bullet Club was around for 12, 14 years. Sure, whatever. But the fact that it's like an ongoing full narrative, like the whole faction it has a story, it to me is just like still with the Roman Reigns thing. That's what we're doing. Come on, guys. What?
Well, I mean, I'll play devil's advocate with it because I hear you. Like I told you before, I thought it got a little stale toward the end. But then they reunited for that War Games against Solo's group. And
nothing wrong with the Evolution did a reunion one night for a show. I'm fine with a reunion. That's fine. I'm good. Like,
My
Shield, the fight. Yeah.
My question with it is, Sammy's finally went on his full blown heel turn. Is he going to figure in somewhere? But for 3.5 years, they were at the top of the card everywhere, and then business was good. Now business has dropped, and ever since they took them, got them apart, and everybody keeps talking about Zillify 2 coming in. I can completely see, because where they released 3 of the MFTs. And Solo's only got the 2 left, being, he is the little brother of Jimmy and Jay. And I can completely see it, going a different way, and, having Roman with Jacob and maybe bringing in Zilla, and God, the family's so big, who knows who you're going to bring in, then have the Usos, reunite with their little brother for another bloodline versus bloodline, whatever. But, but Jacob's a huge star. Now, are they going to do that with, are they going to have him acknowledging Roman and then one day just turn on him and we get another world title match where Jacob can finally win the world title? I don't know. But right now, it's interesting to me, as compared to the rest of the shit that's on the show. But Jacob, in my opinion, I don't know how much you watched. Jacob is becoming a major star.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about him. It's just one of those, like, I'm not seeing what everybody else sees. You know what I mean? Like, I can see the crowds, I can see the chants, but there's something where it's just like, am I just not, my taste receptors are off or whatever? But
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not.
He's a new face. He's a young talent. I'll take it. But there's still a part of me that's like, eh.
Well, I mean, I think the Usos are, probably one of the best tag teams WWE ever produced. I know they're brothers, but it took them 11 years to get on the main card of WrestleMania. There's a reason for that. And, Jacob is much more entertaining. He's, he dropped a ton of weight and got in great shape to come in. If anybody ever saw him on the Indies and MLW, and he's not I'm not sure. He's not Roman on the mic. He's not that polished, cadence that Roman has, but he's more of a couple of catchphrase type guy, and basically has that look on his face and backs up his words, and I'm about to whip your ass, and can do it. So bringing back the Tongan Death Grip, even though he's he's not Haku's son the way the Gorillas of Destiny are, but him breaking out that thing, and so I don't know. We'll see where it goes. And Money in the Bank has been moved. I didn't know about that. So have you heard about that?
No.
Well, let me look here, because we try to cover the news, and I was seeing what's happened. Money in the Bank. Let's see what the old intraweb has to say about it. Let's see. WWF officially moved the 2026 Money in the Bank Premium Live event to Saturday, October 10th. It'll be taking place in New Orleans. They made the change because scheduling requirements with broadcast partners to avoid conflicts in the busy early September tourist season calendar in New Orleans. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, they moved it from. They moved it from. Yeah, they made the adjustments. I was looking to see if it was something with the conflict going on in the Middle East. So, I don't know if it's going to have an impact on the calendar or not. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I don't know what you think, but
I mean, they could lose that pay-per-view, and I probably would take 6 months, a year and a half to notice, to be honest.
Well, I'm kind of with you. That was a great match for WrestleMania, and now that you got WrestleMania on 2 nights, you could have a men's on one night and a women's on another. I mean, there's plenty of flipping time to do so. So, well, it's Money in the Bank, whatever, man. Let's see. AEW Forbidden Door. Pac versus Umino. Are you excited to see that?
I think it's really funny that the project of Shota Umino is still failing, and they're still trying to kind of stick him with someone that'll help him get over. Pac will help him. Pac will be great, but Shota Umino is in this, like, everyone knows he's a great worker. Everyone accepts, okay, you're all right, but you're in this, like, in between phase where we kind of like you, we don't really like you, but not in a, like, heel face way, in a, like, inner, like, I could miss Shota Umino match and go, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully this is something that'll kind of help him a bit. I don't know what he's missing, but it's, you know what I mean? It's like a weird, unexplainable charm that he just does not have, that some of the other like modern 4 pillars of New Japan have in spades.
Yeah. So we got, and Mercedes Moné is trying, she's back. We talked about that. She's trying to repeat as the Owen Hart Cup champion. She won her match to go to the finals. Now the last match you have is Maya World, and I forgot who she filled in for, but she had lost her brother, and they called. I don't know if somebody was actually injured or they just tried to called her up and said, "Hey, do you want to do this? We'll tribute your brother, whatever." But she upset Sky Blue, and now she goes on to face Athena, who was like her mentor or something. Is the way they're making that story out, to see who goes to face Mercedes in the finals. I think I do think, because we've seen Athena and Mercedes before, that she will somehow, some way find a way to upset Athena and move on to face Mercedes Moné. What about you?
I mean, when it comes to Forbidden Door, that's not necessarily the match that I would be trying to push, but I don't know. It's like, why is this at Forbidden Door? Maybe there's just something that I'm not kind of clicking with, but I'm just sort of like, it's
the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. It's men's and women's. They did it last year as well. So
yeah, but I don't know. I'm still one of the people that are like, you guys have ruined Forbidden Door. It's not the same anymore. I'm still one of those people. I did the voice on purpose because I know it's a stupid argument. I'm very self-aware, but yeah, there's still a part of me that's like, this should be a like.
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. How is it a forbidden door when you constantly have New Japan talents on your shows? And I agree with you.
But even 100%. A lot of the matches are AEW specific. There's not what was a few years ago where it was like Darby and Sting and LIJ versus AEW, New Japan. Like, that's fine. I don't mind if there's mixing of the rosters, but it's like, Ring of Honor, CMLL, and Stardom just had their Global Wars event. So how is Ring of Honor doing a better Forbidden Door than AEW, which is their parent company, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, and I as soon as she, I thought that's who it was going to be for the wild card when Willow went down with injury. I figured it would be Mercedes for the big pop. We talked about her downfall before, like she lost all those titles she had. And, that's the two big matches that she's lost in AEW. She's had 2 shots at the world title, Toni Storm and Chris Statlander, and she lost both. I believe this is probably her redemption tour. But it's Toni, so I can completely see with the loss of Maya World's brother, and my heart goes out to her. I'm sorry for your loss. But I can also see Toni having the heart and letting the young lady do a, upset, but it would be more interesting. It would be a more interesting story if Mercedes, as a heel, would win and go on to face Tekla at Wembley. But
this is the weird thing about professional wrestling is sometimes a weird thing happens and your plans are to go to do XYZ, but this weird spontaneous spark has happened. Something special, we can call it. Like, okay, obviously her losing her brother is tremendously traumatic and definitely not anything you'd want to wish on anyone. But this story that she seems to have now with the fans of powering through this, and now the fans are more familiar with her because she has this very heartfelt story. If you can somehow catch this in a bottle for just a moment, run it. Just let her win once, let her lose later. That's fine. But if you just ride this wave for a little bit, who knows? Maybe she turns out to be fantastic, or worst case, she loses the belt. She learns a little bit in her loss, and then she moves on.
Yeah, but this is what I'll say. Mercedes is kind of, she gets cheered certain places, she gets booed in certain places. Tekla is a full blown heel. And this could be, her redemption story of beating Tekla for the world title. And even if for some odd reason they did not book it that way and had her lose, or maybe not lose per se, but the Sisters of Sin interfere, whatever. But you know, it could be the full blown babyface turn from Mercedes Moné and give everybody a chance to finally cheer her. Speaking of Tekla, I had to laugh. I was watching Dynamite last night, and Lord help me, I hope you remember. Tekla is wrestling the girl from Stardom at Forbidden Door with the kitty cat mask. What's her name?
Stardom Kid.
Okay. When they were showing footage of her last night,
Starlight Kid.
Yeah, when they were showing footage of her last night, they showed her beating Julia. I'm like, there you go. You know, I
wink.
Huh?
Yeah, Starlight Kid. Yeah.
So, you know, showing her beating Julia, who is, of course, the over in WWE on SmackDown. She was the U.S. champion for a while. I got little stuff like that. It amuses me.
So to add to that, which I think this is what makes wrestling special. So you mentioned one little fun part of that she did a move to Julia, which is in a different company. She's wearing a literal tiger mask.
That's pink. Yep.
That's pink. So she's pinning the person that's currently in the WWE while in Stardom, while wearing a mask that comes from New Japan, from a person that wrestled in Noah. Like, it's like, I love how there's like these little splinters that you have as you're kind of reading into one of these situations. But yeah, no, I hear a lot of good things about Starlight Kid, and there's a part of me that's like, ooh, I should I get into Stardom? Do I need to start getting into?
Well, we can take a road. We can take a road trip there one day.
Yeah, there's a lot of positive attention in that direction.
But I will also say that I find it interesting because of the way that, you know, the way they let Tekla leave Stardom with her attacking the owner and all that stuff, and now she's doing the full blown spitting on the Stardom logo and this, that, and the other. So you know, for a lot of times, Forbidden Door, when it's actually a Forbidden Door, it's just a match. They don't have a storyline behind it. This one actually does, and so I'll be interested to see where they take it. I mean, you know, do you as a Stardom owner, do you let one of your top stars come over and lose to the girl that whooped your ass, or you know, as AEW, do you let your world champion lose to somebody that's in Stardom? It's a tricky, you know, slippery slope to me.
The way I kind of view it is we're talking about, this was a while ago, but Ricky Sosa had left a French company and went to TNA, and the French owner was complaining. But it's like, look, if your stars get bigger opportunities and more money, they're going to leave. Is this Thekla going, look, I can leave Stardom, but I want to give Stardom a little bit of attention. We want to have a relationship with them. We want to, like, AEW wrestlers are all over the world in all these different companies. So maybe they're like, no, we want to, look, we're sorry for taking your talent. Let's make up with it somehow with a working relationship. So send your person over here. Hopefully someone goes, hey, what's Stardom? And looks up how to watch them. I'm sure there's a streaming service. But like, if that's what they're doing, I can totally see that, because we're trying to share the fans, you know what I mean? Hey, if you like Thekla, well, this girl is pretty much just like her in a rough comparison. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and you know, moving on, it's like I say, it's an interesting story to me. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how they do that. But the Death Riders are just all over the place, man. You know, they had them fighting Shane Taylor Promotions the past couple of weeks, which, you know, I like Shane Taylor. I've met Shane Taylor. I had dinner with Shane Taylor, a group of like 6 or 7 people, you know, one night that I was playing the music for an indie show that came around here. I was playing their interest music. Really nice guy, you know, huge guy, but he's nice as he can be. He's laid back, jovial. So I'm glad to see him getting a push. Lee Moriarty's great in the ring, whether you like his little Tiger style gimmick or not. I think the Infantry could be a good addition if they actually pushed them in the tag team division and you saw them tag team matches versus, you know, this stuff they've been doing. But, and then, you know, you go from Shane Taylor Promotions to last night, Moxley and Daniel Garcia come out and they had an open challenge at the beginning of the show, before the show, however they worded it. And Brodito comes out, the first time we've seen them tag in a while, and they upset the Death Riders. You see Daniel Garcia getting ready to, you know, he does his little dance that we hadn't seen him do in forever. And you see Moxley over there just shaking his head. And then, Bandito pinned Garcia with a 21 plex, and, Fat Ass went flying through the ropes at the same time to take Moxley out so they get to 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. But then you see in the back, Bandito's talking about wanting to challenge Moxley for the Continental title. And Brody's just kind of standing there, and, he didn't say anything, but then Moxley walks over and like, you want a shot, just take your shot. So they set that up for Forbidden Door. But then they do the face-to-face with Ospreay and Swerve, who, get personal. And for the first time, we have a Hangman Adam Page mention. Not a sighting, but a mention. Going back and forth, talking about this, that, and the other, and about how, Swerve was like, you convinced me that to come out and do this and do that and do this and do that, and then, coexist with, Hangman Adam Page, and because he was the one that needed the title. And he goes, you know what? I still agree with that decision. He said, but since then, he goes, you don't see, he goes, when those cage doors got shut and this, that, and the other happened to you, where's Hangman been? And, it kind of went back and forth, and then, Ospreay got pissed off, smacked the mic out of Swerve's hand and hit him. And as he's laid back in the corner, Nana hands him the chain, and he starts standing up real slowly with the chain, and out come the Death Riders. I'm like, man, what are we? Are we babyface? We heel? What the hell are we doing? And, and Swerve just kind of walks, backs up and gets out of the ring and grabs the mic again. He goes, no, Will, you're wrong. You have changed. And so then you see, they go to the back, and you see Moxley talking to Ospreay, and Ospreay's still all pissed off. And he's like, what are you mad about? He's like, they're just words. He's like, this is what causes, he goes, you are so good, but this is what causes you to lose. They're just words. Let it go. Wrestle your match. Don't let him get in your head. He goes, this is what I'm trying to teach you. And, and what a Coach Moxley is, blah, blah. Goddamn, I hate Excalibur. But, so I don't know. I mean, between, the dogs, which one is still injured, you've got the Don Callis, 8 is not enough. He keeps adding. You got the Death Riders, and I'm not sure how much AEW you watch these days, but do you have a favorite faction in AEW?
Okay. I do like, I'm a big fan of faction and the faction sort of scale. I like the Death Riders in their flexibility and their entrance, because they have a different entrance, and depending on who's coming out, you get a different kind of variation of this different entrance. So I like that. But I'm going to say that's my favorite faction. I feel like that feels more like a cohesive unit. I'll phrase it this way. When the Death Riders are standing in a group over there, and the Don Callis family are standing in a group over there, I'm going to go, that's a team. That's just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because
and
the Don Callis family don't
that.
have a color scheme, at least. Like everyone come out in purple and gray, whatever. That was a bad example. But like if they all had the same colors, sure. If you all came out in blue jeans and black t-shirts, sure. But you guys are everywhere.
Yeah, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but you saw that last night. There's a Forbidden Door cage match, 6-on-6. If Mark Briscoe's team wins, then he gets a shot at MJF in the title. They did a preview to that last night with a 6-on-6 tag team match. At the beginning of the show, MJF picked his 5 of Don Callis' family. He picked Okada, Kyle Fletcher, Andrade, Kevin Knight, and there was one more. Jake something, Jake Doyle, whatever you want to call him. And
right. He's a newer guy. Yeah. And
and Andrade was mad about it. He's like, I want the title shot, and this, that, and the other. But but again, like you were talking about, just a hodgepodge. They're not on a cohesive unit. Maybe Proto-Kata is, but the rest of them just kind of look like they're thrown together, kind of like the old Bobby Heenan family or Paul Jones Army, or what have you. I mean, I can tell you, if they added the right person, which I think could have been Kevin Knight. I think Kevin Knight's going to get lost in the Don Callis shuffle, which I think is bad for him. But if the Hurt Syndicate keeps talking about adding somebody, and because to me right now they're just a tag team with a manager. they're not a faction with just two of them. Even though MVP will get in the ring occasionally, but they added the right person. They would overwhelmingly be my favorite because I think they're entertaining with MVP and they're both great in the ring.
And adding a new talent to a veteran faction is exactly the point of having a faction. There was a reason why when The Rock came in, when he first came in and was still new, they put him with Ahmed Johnson. Like they put him with Farouk, not for Ahmed Johnson. Sorry, they put him with Farouk. He'd kill me if I
Ron Simmons.
Ron Simmons. Well, he was Farouk at the time.
He was, but he was still Ron Simmons to me.
But he's a vet. Here's a vet. Go train this young up and comer. Here, we'll give you Mark Henry. We'll give you D'Lo Brown. Like we'll give you a couple. I think like that's how I view factions because like that's how they use them in Japan. You're always going to get one or two vets, one or two new guys, and then let's say this generation kind of feeds the middle. So there's always learning up and down the faction itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and before we get to the last thing, I'll back up to the Death Riders. Did you see the street fight with the Death Riders and Shane Taylor Promotions last Saturday? Did you see any of that?
No, I'm not a fan of Shane Taylor. Like I actively look away.
Well, there's a reason.
He's my Sean Waltman,
the reason I was asking was, and I mean, they the teams, it was, the 5 guys and the 1 girl or the 4 guys and the 1 girl, however they did it. I forgot the girl's name. It's with Shane Taylor, but of course we know Marina's with the Death Riders and like all the guys have been knocked out and they got Marina by herself in the ring. And like, a couple of the guys are holding her and they take her shoes off and her socks. And then they take this bag that they got and they threw it all down. It had glass and thumbtacks. And I'm sure you've seen the spot before, but they did the atomic drop and put her right in the glass. And, she sold it well. And I'm sure it hurt. Don't get me wrong. But then I'm telling you, I would take her over 95% of the AEW roster in a shoot fight. Because then she got up with all that shit still in the bottom of her feet and started kicking people. I'm like, oh, damn, girl, go ahead.
That's the first thing I thought because she did that in their War Games match. I forget what the AEW calls it, but she like stepped in a bunch of broken glass, I think, and then did like an axe kick with the glass in her foot on someone's chest, and it's like, okay, I'm all right. I'm in. That's creative. It's sick stuff, but you don't see that. You don't see that like. I've seen it on the shoe. I've never seen it on the barefoot. So credit where it's due.
That is a tough lady. And we'll leave it at that. And we'll get into the last thing tonight is the TNA just, man, I don't know what the hell's happening with TNA, but Tommy Dreamer's gone as head of creative. Delirious takes over. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who the hell Delirious is. It looks like they're getting ready to announce a OVW developmental system with TNA. You got Mike Santana, WWE Rumors, and Steve Backlund, who was Steve somebody in WWE. He was with Jackson Ryder as a tag team there. They did the whole Feast or Fired briefcase with him and then brought him back. And then something he didn't like, he asked for his release. They gave it to him. He finally made his first appearance on an indie show the other night. Tessa Blanchard asked for her release and she was given it. The story that I read on that was, CMLL wanted her full time and did not want her wrestling there anymore. And so that's what she chose. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But
for a moment, to be fair, I could 100% believe that CMML is going to pay you more than TNA at the moment.
100%. That's what I was getting to. I mean, she's, if it wasn't for the controversy that she had, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it's been now. I mean, she's got the look. She can talk. She's good in the ring. She would have been in WWE by now if it wasn't for the racist comments and things that she was caught making back then. So,
I think if a DUI won't stop you from being world champion, and that's in the last 10 years, I don't think some comments like that would stop you. I think with Tessa Blanchard, there's a part of me that goes, yeah, there is some controversy, but Austin Aries has some controversy. Marty Scurll has some controversy, and they're still working. So
not in the big time though.
Not in the big time, but they're still working consistently. There's a part of me that's like Tessa Blanchard. I think there's something else. I think the controversy might be an easy crutch. Maybe she's let's just say a personality. Some people aren't the best in locker rooms,
I don't know if you, I don't know if you remember it or not, but she was actually part of the reason, probably a big part of the reason that I turned TNA off for a while.
I can understand that.
Not this recent run, but before all that stuff happened, and they, from what I've read in the years since it happened, was that it was his idea, but she pinned Brian Cage to become their world heavyweight champion. And whether you like Brian Cage or not, the dude is huge, and there is no reason in the world. I mean, Tessa's in great shape, but she's not a big girl. She's not Nia Jax. Okay. I mean, she's not Lash Legend. She's great shape, a little bit bigger than Alexa Bliss, but not a whole lot. And to have her pin a guy the size of Brian Cage, it's like, yes, we know it's scripted, but it's like, come on now. And, and put the world title on her, and to have her constantly have to defend against men. I didn't care for it. It wasn't the intergender thing. It was just putting the world title on her. I didn't like when they put the Intercontinental title on China all those years ago.
I mean, depending on the story, like I've watched enough Chikara, going back to Delirious. I've watched enough Chikara to just, it doesn't, I don't know. I think like there's going to be tons of debate about this, but I think when you hit the border of the States, it's like intergender in Canada, fine. No one cares really. As soon as you hit that border, everyone starts going,
well, no, I mean, AEW's been doing it. I mean, with Marina Shafir, the girl with Shane Taylor Promotions, and a couple other ones, and it's not getting back. I don't have an issue with it. Like I said, it wasn't the intergender thing. It was the putting the world title on her is what put a bad taste in my mouth.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen that done before in other companies. So to me,
China won the Intercontinental title. So,
World's Cutest Tag Team was the PWG tag team titles for years, where PWG had all the greatest tag teams, Motor City Machine Guns, Young Bucks, all that. Like, depending on the context, depending on what's the story is on what's going on, I don't know. To me, I just go, yeah. To be fair, I think it was Candice LeRae was the lady that was with Johnny Gargano.
Yep. They're married.
So I just go, yep, that works for me. These two are lethal warriors. Yes, it would make sense why she could, in theory, knock out Brian. Now, is Candice LeRae going to knock out Brian Cage? Maybe not, but PWG didn't have the giants that other companies did. But to me, I just go, depending on the story, I don't really care.
Sure. Well, yeah, I think TNA is just, it's a matter of time before, like Triple get bought by the WWE, but and they just swallow it the way they have. But
I'm about to contradict myself. If there's no women's title and she wins the men's title, sure, whatever. But if there's specifically a women's title and she wins the men's title, okay, I can understand.
Which TNA has had, since once they crowned a world champion when it first came into inception, then the next thing they did was create the knockout champion. So they've had that title for a while.
Maybe this is a bad tangent, but I'll make it super short. China went to New Japan in the 90s, in the 2000s, and wrestled men because New Japan did not have a women's division or anything that resembled that at the time. So they just shrugged and said, you can fight the men, whatever. But now with the way that the community is different, that would, they would probably say, well, why don't you just challenge for the IWGP women's belt? Because that, so yeah, I like, depending on context, it could go either way, but yeah.
All right. Well, what do you think about what I said? Do you think TNA is just a hanging on by a string before they get swallowed up by WWE?
Maybe that's what the Exodus is. Maybe that's what some of the creative types were saying, hey, we got to get out. I know Delirious is a hell of a booker. He's been booking pre AEW Ring of Honor for years. He's a phenomenal booker.
Did he go by another name before that?
No, it's been Delirious.
Because I'll be honest with you, I have no idea who he is.
Oh, he had a great gimmick where he just Tasmanian Devil, like kind of like his wrestling was erratic and weird, and it's not that great, but yeah, he's been around for 15 years or something like that. He was in a Wrestle Kingdom donkeys years ago. But yeah, I could see him potentially being more of a like hey, I want that paycheck. Like I'll do whatever, you want. I'm not saying he's a sellout, but I could see Tommy Dreamer kicking up a little bit more fuss. He's an old man. He might want to be creative. But if WWE's coming in, they're gonna do WWE. Like,
well, I was getting ready to say, him and Heyman are still tight. I mean, they buried whatever issues they had and got their friendship back. So, maybe you see Tommy Dreamer as an agent coming forth here soon in WWE. Who knows?
Well, it's like there could be like, hey, you and me could be friends and have a good personal relationship, but when we talk about creative stuff, you know what I mean? Who knows what's going on?
Heyman's not in charge of
mass.
Yeah, Heyman's like not in charge of anything, so I'm just saying he might be able to get him a job doing something.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I'd get rid of Tommy. Done. We're past that now.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the Forbidden Door card so far?
I think it's getting interesting. I think they could get more interesting people to come on. Like there was a kind of all of the event of Forbidden Door is less impressive than one match that happened on Dominion a couple weeks ago. Like El Desperado versus Mystico, I find is more of an interesting match in a Forbidden Door context than anything on Forbidden Door at the moment. Where are the Knockout Brothers? Where Great Khan Hanare? Like, bring someone over that's strong style. Like, where are all the big New Japan stars? And why aren't we seeing these more kind of interesting matchups? Like, where's Jake Lee? I know he's beat up, but he's fun to watch. Put him in. Where's Oiwa? Where's Zach? Like, I think Zach. They put
Zach Sabres. He's wrestling Kenny Omega.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm fine with that. But it's like there's a lot more stars in New Japan that deserve the spotlight, like the Knockout Brothers.
Well,
just give them a tag title challenge and they'll lose and it's fine.
And unless I'm missing something, we already know the AEW title is not being defended because Max is in a cage tag match. But I don't see the IWGP title being defended either. So,
Isn't Tsuji? They're building up something with Tsuji because there's a whole Twitter beef going on right now where Gabe Kidd and Yoda Tsuji are like chatting and they're using the kind of work shoot environment. So I think they're building to Tsuji having a match because you got to have their guy or the guy they're trying to be their guy on the show, but
as much as I like Edge and Christian, you're getting them against David Finlay and Clark Connors, and I don't foresee that being that great of a match.
And where like you can't get the Knockout Brothers for that. Like that would be a perfect kind of setup. What FTR versus Great Okan Hanare? Like there's charm on the other side that they're just not bringing over.
People talk about all the interviews or promos that they like. And I can tell you, honest to God, there is nobody that I prefer to hear on the mic these days more than I like listening to Christian Cage and his damn cuts. When they were doing the segment last night, and I'm glad we got to talk about that because he was talking. He took the mic and he was talking after they come out and ran the two of them off, and he was going through shit. And then he gets to David Finlay. He's like, you were supposed to be the world's greatest gift to the professional wrestling world from your father. The professional wrestling world would a whole lot better off if he'd just let you dribble down his leg. I'm like, oh my God. He just takes he's so good at those one-liners, man. And it's just like, and you see Edge, they put the camera on Edge and Edge he's got his head down, just shaking his head, and he's got to talk and he's trying not to laugh. So, but, anyway, we'll finish it up because we're catching on the hour. You got a wrestler of the week there for us there, Paul?
Oh, I don't have a wrestler of the week, but I'll say if anybody's going to watch a match in the last couple weeks, go back and watch Dominion, the IWGP Tag Team Championship match between the Knockout Brothers, Great Okan Hanare. When they hit each other, you can actively see the sweat bounce off them. They're hitting each other so hard, and that's a physicality. I just put it in my veins. Let's go.
All right. Well, match of the week was next, man. So I need you to give me just Pick one.
I'm going to go with, right now I'm going to go with Jake Lee as my sort of standout wrestler of the week. I know he's beat up, so he's not doing a lot of crazy work, but he's doing this like gesture gimmick where he's like, you can't pin me down sort of gimmick. I'm odd, I'm weird, and I'm throwing everyone off. So go out of your way to watch some Jake Lee. It's not the best, but it's just like fascinating. I can't turn away. So yeah, that's my highlight is Jake Lee.
Okay, well I haven't watched Jake Lee this week, so I'm going to continue to be my smart ass self. And for my wrestler of the week, for the second time in a row, it's going to be Danhausen. He's the best thing on WWE. Best thing on WWE TV right now, and that should say something. That should tell you something. If you're not watching the show, all you need to know. Tomorrow night we are getting Gunther and Cody. Commercial free on SmackDown with Sami Zayn as the referee, which I'm pretty sure will be setting up for a 3-way between the three of those people for the title. My match of the week, we're not through with the week yet, but I'll go ahead and throw it to that 12-man tag last night. It was, a lot of good spots in there. He wound up getting a Roddy Strong to tap out to his Fujiwara armbar, which, to me sets it up for Mark Briscoe's team to win at Forbidden Door, so Mark will get a title shot. It's normally the way that kind of stuff works. I think you'll see something with Andrade because they did have, after the match, he was telling Andrade to pick one of them up so he could hit him with a Dynamite Diamond Ring, and they wound up pushing for a minute, and Don Callis got in there. He's like, just pick him up, damn it. And so we're getting close to that Andrade babyface turn, so I think that will probably have something to do with the outcome of the match on at Forbidden Door, but. So what do you think's the biggest thing in wrestling right now? The biggest story. What do you think we got? What's your thing?
The biggest story is sort of I don't know what sort of like long-term story is kind of hooking me. I'm just like, I'll say this. I'm bought in for the G1 coming up. That's I'll say that. It starts second half of July. And they're starting to ramp up who's going to be in it, and we have a couple mystery sections. So there's a part of me like wrestling's going on, and I'm like, so what did they say about the G1? Do we know who's in it? Do we know?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I'm probably looking forward to is going to be Ospreay and Swerve at Forbidden Door. Ospreay did the right thing when he first got there because everybody was talking about him being the world champion. Him and Swerve go back a long way. And he's talked about it. It was his idea to get out there immediately with Swerve and put Swerve over. So, that way the talk could die down. Swerve would beat him and let Swerve do his world title run. It was a great match, and they will have another phenomenal match, in my opinion. I'm not sure being Hangman Page's name got brought up if you're, and it was all done by Swerve Strickland. So I don't know if we'll get a Swerve per se for Ospreay to win and move on to London to face Max. But, that's probably the best thing I'm looking forward to right now. I don't know how big a story it is. I think the bigger story will be when Ospreay goes on to Wembley to challenge for the world title in his home country and Wembley Stadium that all those guys and girls dream of being in, whether it's in wrestling, whether it's soccer, whatever they want to do. If you're in that area, you dream of being able to go to Wembley Stadium, just like a lot of people, used to be able.
I think Maple Leaf Gardens was well, not until recently, but for the most part in Toronto history, Maple Leaf Gardens was our Madison Square Gardens. Everyone wanted to wrestle in Maple Leaf Gardens. That was the be all end all building.
Well, and
now it's a bit different, but
it's different for states. I mean, back, before they built new stuff, Florida was the Orange Bowl. If you were Floridian, that's where you wanted to be.
What was the one that was like the Deep South? Was it like Dusty had all these like
the Omni in Atlanta?
Yeah, there's all these like weird little it reminds me of Cochran Hall in Japan, where it's like, look, you could go to any venue and have a wrestling show, but there's certain venues that are a part of pro wrestling culture no matter what. Like the ECW arena, that building is just part of pro wrestling. Like you can't be a professional wrestling fan, never see a show at this arena. There's just certain arenas you're bound to see come up.
Yeah, I think the biggest two here, if you were to ask most people, maybe not so much today, um, but majority of the time, because there is a new one now, but would be Yankee Stadium and Madison Square Garden. That would be the two here that people would really want to perform in, because I mean, all those iconic football stadiums for the most part have been replaced, but you still do have Wrigley Field. You still got Fenway Park, but Yankee Stadium, they built a brand new one. It's still called Yankee Stadium. It's beside where the old one was. But that would be the big two here that most people would grow up dreaming of being. So, we'll see where it all goes, but I think we'll get one hell of a match with Swerve and Ospreay. And from what I gather, we talked about it. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I can re-get directions if I need to. We're going to take a road trip to Memphis Wrestling here soon, aren't we?
We can't leave that bloody country, can we? we're back to the States again.
And we're trying. There a lot of small territories are starting to pop back up with. Whether you like WWE, you like AEW, whatever, they both have their fair share of criticisms from fans of the other ones, and then you got me who rolls his eyes at just about everything he sees, but he's still watching it. And there's picks out certain things. You go, oh, okay, I want to see that, and but I'll be honest with you. I started following JCW since when we did that first on TikTok and stuff, and there's Joel Gertner coming out. He's not for everybody. So if you get offended easy, don't go Google Joel Gertner, for God's sake. But, there's little people, little things, they brought out Ernest the Cat Miller. We talked about, well, little things and people they brought back, since Vince Russo's been around, of stuff they're doing. But, it's interesting. I mean, cause I'd heard of JCW, but I'm like, that's a damn Insane Clown Posse. I'm not watching that crap. But, then we watched it, and was it the best thing you've ever watched? No, but there was some good people in there, and like or love or hate Vince Russo, he's made it a little more on the interesting side and got a few more names in there, and they've taken it more seriously than the ICP ever did. It was just kind of something for them to do, and now they're trying to kind of see what they can get out on mainstream, and it's something different. So I'm looking forward to seeing, because Memphis Wrestling used to be one of the hottest things on the block back in the 70s and 80s. And, with Jerry Lawler and the Jarretts and, Bill Dundee, you can name them all, go through Steve Dr. Death Williams, Ted DiBiase got his start down there, so forth and so forth. They would bring in different people. JYD, that's where he got his start, was with Bill Watts. Mr. Wrestling 2.
Andy Kaufman, I believe.
Andy Kaufman, the whole Andy Kaufman angle. If you've never seen that, that's when people really believed it was real. Bless you. Got another one in you?
That's my favorite promo of all time. Like I know I repetitively say I'm not a big fan of promos, but I have a big soft spot in my heart for this is soap. Not soup, not soap. It's soap. You put some water on it and you rub it on your underparts and you watch. Classic promo. This is toilet paper. Kaufman was a genius, no matter where he was.
But little things like that. So I'll be interested to see what they are doing down in Memphis. I don't even know who the champion is, but we'll head down to Tennessee. Maybe we'll stop by Graceland. Maybe we'll hit Beale Street for some barbecue. You never know what we're going to do. But
is Dollyland near Graceland? Dolly World?
Dolly World. It's somewhere around there. So.
Oh man, I'll go there and get some free books.
But the last episode we talked about at the beginning of Road Trip Wrestling was they Paul and the 5-star man there. They took a trip and watched the AEW pay-per-view. Which one was it again? I'm sorry.
Double or Nothing.
2026. So they went in depth on that one. And so you should go check that out. And we are here every week. Paul, you got anything before we head out of here?
Not off the top of my head. I'm just hyped for the G1 and doing the whole mystery, like who's going to be the remaining people. Drives me up the wall every time. And I'm here. I'm loving every second of it.
Well, the only thing I can get out of here with before we head out is he and I have talked, and we're going to move this to Sunday because between teaching class, teaching summer school, doing the DJ stuff that I do, doing the other stuff that I do as well. Thursdays have gotten a little hard sometimes, and I get caught up, and then we wind up missing a day or something. So moving to Sundays, it's going to be, I'm not really sure what the time frame is, but we are going to start doing. We're not going to do Sunday night when there's a pay-per-view. We are going to do before the pay-per-view. So give you, 30, 45 minute preview and let us throw some predictions at you. You can come in the comments, do whatever. And, doesn't matter who it is, but, if it's a pay-per-view, we're not going to take up your time with what's been happening through the week. Just go and do 30, 45 minutes of predictions and what we might see, and then get off and watch it and then come back the next week and talk about it. So if you don't have anything else, Paul, like, subscribe, comment to Ringside Syndicate, again, where you can find us right here on the hard cam, where you can find Paul and myself or whoever might be jumping in the car with him for Road Trip Wrestling. So, you know what? This is real talk, real passion, real wrestling. That's Paul. I'm Jason. And we're going to get out of here as soon as I can find the right button. We'll see you next time.